Oh dear. Hello. I thought I would finish this vlog, which was a autumn refresh, getting ready for autumn, that kind of thing. Had a lovely day going shopping, putting all my autumn bits and pieces out. So I thought I would basically end this video with some book recommendations for autumn, like the books that I kind of feel like are perfect for reading in September, October. So for me, I kind of like to read during September and October, all of like more cozy books in September. So a few cozy fantasy, dark academia, witchy ones which aren't classed as scary, all those sort of things through September. And then in October I like to go for the horror. That's basically what I do every year. And it's not until like November that I start doing cozy mystery, where I kind of feel like cozy mystery is more winter. So when it's definitely a lot colder and all of that, you know, I feel like September kind of is the books that kind of eases us in to those burn months, if you know, you know. So I thought I would like go through some books. I mean, there's a few here that obviously everyone's gonna have heard of, but there's some that I kind of feel like maybe not everyone knows. They're very underrated, but I just thought I would just go through. I don't want to take too long doing this part of the vlog. I don't want the vlog to be too long basically this week, but let's just go through. Okay, so let's start with September, which is, you know, a bit more cozier, a bit more kind of like historical fiction type of thing as well. Bit of you know, it's about the setting and the descriptions mainly in September. So we're not going to look at horror just yet. We're going to come to those in a bit. So let's look at the books that I kind of like to read in September. So first of all, we've got one that probably everyone, let's start off strong, shall we? Everyone's probably heard of this. It's Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldry, which is very much a cozy fantasy. It's set in a tea shop. We have Viv, who she basically is like an orc who decides that they want to open up this coffee shop. It's a coffee shop, not a tea shop. It's a coffee shop. And the descriptions of coffee and food in this book, it's like, oh, the characters in this book are just lovely. There's just so much you can absolutely love about this book. The second one, Bookshops and Bone Dust, is now out as well, which I think I might actually get very soon to read in September. I kind of feel like I want to put that onto my list of what to read this year. We shall see, but yeah, it's very much what I class as a cozy fantasy. Everyone loves this book. I don't think I know of anyone that's disliked it. So yeah, strong start with that one. Then we want, you know, kind of an author that I kind of feel like is superb for September is Stacey Halls. Here we go. So these are 3 books by Stacey Halls which I think are perfect for September. Also the covers all are stunning as well. Just look at those covers, absolutely stunning. So this is The Familiars. This one is set in Lancashire 1612, and kind of like a bit of like witchcraft accusations are going on with this one, and there is like talk of like the Pendle witch trials as well in it, and obviously like the familiars are like what the witches, it's like they're like almost like a spirit animal. What would you call it? I don't really know. But yeah, I absolutely loved this book in the sense of, you know, the descriptions of it, you know, being perfect for this time of year to read. It's quite, it's just like, look at that, look at this cover. I just, you know, I mean, even the cover is screaming autumn to me. The Foundling by Stacey Hawes, again, another autumn style cover. Absolutely love this one. This one's set in London 1754. This is actually based on the London's Foundling Hospital, which is an actual hospital as well. There's a lot of moments in this book where you will cry. So the Foundling Hospital is where women would go to when they had children out of wedlock, and they used to be basically sent to this hospital, and the hospital would either decide to take on, or yeah, I don't know, it's not a nice place. I kind of feel like and yeah, the setting in this is just absolutely stunning, and you know, obviously we've got like a little bit of a map going on here, and it's, I don't know, perfect for this time of year. Again, like, you know, all Stacey Hawes books are, but yeah, it's a heart-wrenching one, this one, heart-wrenching one. And we've got Mrs. England, again, another autumn style book. This one is another one. This one's West Yorkshire in 1904. This one is set in like a wealthy house. It's cut in this isolated, it's called Hardcastle House, which obviously is perfect. We love an isolated setting. So you know, again, this one is just another one that I just think is superb for this time of year. I kind of feel like with each of the Stacey Hawes books, maybe just kind of go in blind. Obviously understand that this one you are going to cry. It's very much following, you know, what happened at the Foundling Hospital. A lot of the people that ended up having to send their children there, and this one is basically Bess Bright. She basically returns to reclaim her child, and gets told that the child was taken, like literally days after she took the child there. And she kind of tries to work out who's taken her child and why. So yeah, and this one is obviously like witchy style, and this one is like isolated house, wealthy family, that sort of thing going on with like a maid. Another author that I kind of feel like is perfect for this time of year, but I kind of feel like could be read any time of year, is Stuart Turton. Now, to be fair, with this author's work, you kind of have to properly concentrate. I do anyway. I feel like Stuart Turton is such a clever author that it's very difficult to follow during some parts of the books, but I still think they're absolutely amazing, and the endings in each of his books are just absolutely superb. So, author of The Seven Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle, which I feel like lots of people know about or have heard about it. It was very popular when it first came out. This one is following Evelyn Hardcastle, who was killed, but it's like she's been murdered hundreds of times, and each day there's this Aidan Bishop who has to go, he's trying to figure out who's killed her, and it goes back in time, starts the day off all over again. And yeah, you'd pay attention. This one, The Devil in the Dark Water, is set on an isolated ship. This is set in 1634. We've got like the world's greatest detective is being transported to Amsterdam, where he is facing trial and execution for a crime he may or may not have committed. He's got his royal bodyguard with him. There's also some other people on board of this ship, and then there seems to be some sort of like a strange symbol appears. Then there's like the passengers all start hearing terrible voices whispering to them. It all starts to get a bit eerie. But yeah, there is that one. And then the latest one that came out this year is The Last Murder at the End of the World. I give this 5 stars. I absolutely love this book. I kind of feel like everyone's kind of heard about this recently. Basically set on an island where there is a mist surrounding it. They are the last people alive in the world. Then there's some scientists there, and then when one of the scientists has been murdered, you kind of see that they have to try and figure out who's killed. I think they have like a set number of hours they have to figure out who's killed the scientist, otherwise the defense system has all gone down. The fog is gonna enter the island and kill them all. So it's very tense, but it's superbly written. It's very, very cleverly done. Very, very cleverly done. Then we've got another author that I kind of feel like is perfect. This here is a series which is by Oscar de Muriel. The first one is The Strings of Murder. So these are all set in Edinburgh in 1888, and I kind of feel like Edinburgh is perfect for this time of year. Reading about Edinburgh is perfect, and the 1800s as well. Perfect. This one is following 2 detectives. They have, in each book, it's like a different murder mystery type of thing. But the setting and descriptions are absolutely superb, and the writing, you know, it's obviously set in 1800s and does an amazing job with the setting. Very, very good job, which I kind of feel like is perfect, obviously, for this time of year. Then like some more of like the gothic style books. So we've got 3 here. We've got Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. I wouldn't really say this is horror as such. For me, it's more like a gothic style book. I don't think it's for everyone. I mean, it is quite slow in parts, but we're basically following Rebecca. No, it's not Rebecca. Rebecca is the wife. Okay, so yeah, that was it. I should remember now. Right, so Rebecca is the wife, but we've got this the widow of Rebecca kind of remarries, and his new wife moves into the house, and then kind of realizes that something, you know, is a bit odd in this house and something's going on, and trying to work it all out. We don't ever find out her name. It's all about Rebecca, the wife. It's very gothic style. Very gothic style. I kind of feel like it's a classic that everyone knows about. I definitely would recommend it for this time of year. And we've got Belladonna by Adeline Grace, which is also a bit gothic styly. This one deals with like the devil a little bit, but it's not the devil, is it? It's death. Where am I getting the devil from? It's like death, which is his own character as well, which I find quite fascinating with this. And it's basically following Signet Farrow, and it's got like an eccentric family, like at Thorngrove. The house, you know, is very gloomy, and there's like a restless spirit there. I wouldn't say it's like horror as such, so that's why I'm putting it in with September, because it's not horror, but there is like ghostly spirits. There is this really gloomy house that's described really well as well, and death is a character itself, so I always find that pretty cool as well. Then we've got Mexican Gothic by Silvia Moreno Garcia, which again, I don't find, a lot of people put this in the horror category, but I kind of feel like this is definitely more like gothic style. Possibly not very, I mean, yeah, I think you have like, you know, a bit of like, oh, is this supernatural style thing going on? And it's very tense, it's very dark, but I do feel like this is more gothic, which wouldn't be classed as horror as such. So yeah, another one that I think a lot of people know about. You've got like the glamorous socialite Noemi, who then basically gets a message from her cousin that there's stuff not going great where her cousin's living, and so she basically goes over there and starts realizing there's more to it. It's all a bit bit creepy, all of that sort of thing going on. I did really enjoy it. Really did enjoy it. And then we've got some like dark academia type books, which I think are perfect this time of year. In My Dreams I Hold a Knife by Ashley Winstead. This one is more so, I don't know, like a bit of a mystery which has been figured out later on, because it's 6 friends and it's a college reunion, but they're kind of like looking back in time. You kind of get past point of view. You're basically seeing into the past of like, and trying to figure out what happened, because one of the friends was murdered and it was never solved. And then they have this school reunion and they're all getting back together and they're all in the school, and it's all, could be any one of them, and something is, you know, going to be revealed. And again, I thought it was a very tense page turner. Absolutely loved it. And then we have Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. This is set in Yale University. This is following Alex, who basically, their job is to keep an eye on all the societies at Yale University to make sure that, you know, they're keeping to the rules, as it were, because there's like a bit of like magical stuff going on, all of that sort of thing. And then there's the dead girl. So Alex starts realising that the societies are a bit more sinister. There is a sequel to this as well, Hellbent, which I've got on my TBR bookcases to read, which I will probably read next month in September as well. So I'm actually filming this in the end of August. So in September, I'm probably going to read the second book to this, because I want to get back to Yale University. And then we have obviously The Secret History by Donna Tartt. Look at all the tabs on this. The writing is absolutely stunning in this. This is, you know, I think kind of feel like everyone kind of knows about this. It's an elite New England college. And I kind of feel, yeah, it's the sort of book where the writing is absolutely stunning and all of the descriptions are amazing. So I originally started to read this a couple of years ago. Must be like 3 years ago or something. And I ended up DNFing it because I was in the right frame of mind. I then realised as my reading taste changed that I was getting more into the darker stuff and, you know, the darker books. So I thought I'll give it another go. And I'm so glad I did, because I absolutely loved it when I gave it another go. As you can tell by all of these tabs, these are all like descriptions I absolutely loved. Like quotes from this book. The writing is absolutely stunning. So of course, I would definitely recommend it. We've got a few other books here, which again is all about the descriptions and the settings. We have Jonathan Strange and Mr. Noel by Susanna Clarke. This is quite a chunky one. Again, look at all the tabs in this. Absolutely love the writing in this. This is following 2 magicians, and it's basically, let's have a look. So it's basically, it says on the back, it's an utterly compelling epic tale of 19th century England and the 2 very different magicians who, as teacher and pupil and then as rivals, emerged to change its history. In the year 1806, in the throes of the Napoleonic Wars, I can never say that word, most people believe magic to be dead in England, until the reclusive Mr. Noel of Hertford Abbey reveals his powers and becomes a celebrity overnight. And then basically it sees 2 magicians, and I don't know, it's set in 1806 in England, and it's absolutely, the writing is stunning, the descriptions is stunning, the setting is stunning, everything about it is stunning. I absolutely loved this book. Even though it was a very chunky book, I absolutely loved it. And I kind of feel like we have to talk, there's another Leigh Bardugo recommendation, very different from like the Ninth House. So it's the Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom. This is like a bit more of like the fantasy side of things. Absolutely superb. So Six of Crows, it's 6 misfits getting together. It's run by someone called Kit. No, it's not Kit. Kaz. I get Kit from Kaz. And they basically decide to do this heist to get this guy out of this prison, who has a load of knowledge that could change Grecian magic forever. And I don't know, it's a bunch of like outcasts all getting together. It's very character driven, these two books, but my gosh, the characters are absolutely, you will love absolutely every single one of these characters. And we have A Tempest of Tea by Hafsa Faisal, which follows on very nicely from my last recommendation. This is very much Six of Crows meeting with Peaky Blinders. This book, absolutely superb. So we're following Artie, who is like a criminal mastermind and owns a tea shop. So it's a tea shop during the day, and at night it's like where all the vampires congregate, and there's maids there that kind of just give over their blood for money. And Artie then realizes that someone wants to get this place closed down, so she has to try and figure out how to save her place. It's very dark, it's very action packed, it's absolutely superb. It very much reminds me of Peaky Blinders and very much reminds me of Six of Crows. So if you love both Peaky Blinders and Six of Crows like I do, then you will love this. I gave it 5 stars. I thought it was absolutely superb. And then of course we have to recommend this. Is it Babel? Is it Babel? However you wish to say it. Again, loads of tabs in this one. This is by R.F. Kuang and is absolutely superb. It's set in Oxford in 1836. And again, the writing is stunning. The descriptions are stunning. Absolutely beautiful. I love it when the descriptions are just stunning and beautiful. And, you know, in the 1800s, 1700s, when, you know, back along, and it's just beautifully written. I love it. And then we got some witchy books, which I kind of feel like, you know, aren't horror style, but, you know, very good. We've got this one, which is The Witches of New York by Amy McKay. And this is set in 1880 with Adelaide and Eleanor, who open a tea shop, and then they have Beatrice come and work with them, realise that she's got some, you know, bit of magical powers, so they decide to use her a little bit for their own benefit. But obviously, you know, it's a tea shop in 1880 with witchy vibes. The ex-hex, it's a bit more of like a comical type witchy style, bit of a romance going on as well. It's by Erin Sterling. Kind of was around like everywhere back when it came out. The Hellion by Harriet Young. This is set in like Lancashire 1612 and Whalley 1537. It's basically about the witchcraft trials in England, and it's actually based on the true story of the Device family. So I would definitely recommend it if you love your like witchy style. We've got Wayward by Amelia Hart. Very mixed reviews on this one, but I personally absolutely loved it. And this is following Elsa in 1619, Violet in 1942, and Kate in 2019. They are all from the same family. They're all like ancestors of one another, and they've all been wronged by men. And it's them basically using their powers in a way and using their ancestors to basically get almost like justice type of thing. And it basically says, weaving together the stories of 3 women across 5 centuries, Wayward is an enthralling novel of female resilience and the transformative power of the natural world. I just personally really enjoyed it. It's quite slow paced. And then the last witchy type book is the trilogy, A Discovery of Witches by Deborah Harkness. I gave this one 5 stars. I'm currently reading the second book, which is Shadow of Night. I've got that much more to go. I definitely preferred the first book, to be honest. So this is Diana and Matthew. Diana's a witch, Matthew is a vampire. They're not allowed to be talking to one another, let alone forming a relationship with one another, but they do. And they end up basically having a lot of people against them. They basically want this relationship not to be a thing, wants to end it. So they have a lot of people coming after them in regards to that. So those are all the books, and that's quite a lot of books for September, which are like a bit more cozier, got some witchy stuff going on, but not horror by any means. So yeah, those are the September ones, and I'm going to now show you some horrors which I think would be perfect for October. So I'm going to get those together and I'll come back on here and show you those ones. Okay, so I've got the horror together. First of all though, a couple of like thrillers that I kind of feel like you can still read in October. They're a bit, you know, how do you describe it? I don't know. Let me just show you a couple of authors. So first of all, Ruth Ware, I kind of feel like is an author you could pick up. You're bound to have a good time with any of her books. They're just always really good thrillers. So definitely Ruth Ware. And the other author I would say is Chris Carter. So the thing with Chris Carter's work though, he doesn't hold back. So although it's thriller, it's not for everyone. It's not for the faint-hearted. He does not hold back on the descriptions with gore. The murder scenes are very descriptive. Let's put it that way. Yeah, absolutely superb author though. Would definitely recommend picking any of Chris Carter's books up. Then we've got a thriller here, which I kind of feel like is, yeah, a bit more on the horror side, going towards horror. So with this is called The Hunted. It's basically like The Deliverance, but set in outback Australia. So you have this very strange neighbourhood where they basically go after tourists to torture and kill them. But one tourist escapes, and when she gets taken in by a couple, and as well as like down at a gas station, service station, whatever you want to call it, there is a grandfather and granddaughter working. It then becomes like a bit of a standoff between these people that have basically taken this woman in, where one, she's very poorly, she's covered in blood, she's basically done a runner and managed to escape these very odd people. If you've watched Deliverance, yeah, you'll know what I mean. Very odd neighbourhood, best way of putting it. Yeah, very, I don't know how to describe it if you haven't seen Deliverance, but it's not a very nice. They're a bit like cannibals. So they're cannibals and they like to torture, kill and eat people. Yeah, it's very gory, very graphic, but absolutely tense, on the edge of your seat stuff. I read this within a few hours. I did not put the book down. I literally didn't put the book down. I read it all. It was amazing. Then we have The Book of Accidents by Chuck Wendig, which I kind of feel like is superb in October. It's horror. I guess it's like probably like a thriller, but horror. Basically following Nathan and Maddie. They go back to this house in the country which is owned by Nathan's father, but when he passes away he ends up going back. They take Maddie with him, and they've got their son as well with them, and stuff had happened to them both in the past. Now things are starting to happen to their son, but this has like a sci-fi element to it as well, because there are like portals into other worlds. It's just absolutely superb book, like very cleverly written, very clever. Absolutely thought this was, it even says on here, Move Over King, the new voice of modern horror, is written on the top of there as well. It's like there's a sense of dread as you read in this book. There really is. Now, a horror author which I would definitely recommend is Simone St. James. So this is like Murder Road is the recent book that's come out. I gave it 4 stars, but the other 2 are definitely 5 stars. But Simone St. James is definitely an author that I would recommend for in October. You've got The Book of Cold Cases, which is a true crime blogger, basically trying to get some more info from someone who was acquitted from 2 cold case slayings. And it's there's 2 timelines, 1977 and 2017, and we're basically seeing, so it goes back into the past of what actually happened back then with Beth Greer. Now we're seeing it when Beth is getting interviewed, and it's at her mansion. So she says, you can interview me, but it has to be at my mansion. And so when Shea, is that her name? Shea basically goes to the mansion to interview her. As they're doing like this whole thing over a period of time, she starts realising there's something really odd about this mansion. Something quite sinister is going on. And then the Sundown Motel, this book. It's, again, 2 timelines. We've got 1982 and 2017, both in upstate New York. So Viv in 1982 takes on a job at the Sundown Motel, ends up disappearing. And the family has never known what's happened to her. And then later on in 2017, Carly, her parents have died. So she decides that she's got nothing else to lose. So she might as well figure out what happened to her Aunt Viv. So she goes to the Sundown Motel, gets a job, the exact same job as a receptionist, night shift worker at the motel. And then she starts realising that what's happened to her aunt, is possibly happening to her, because some odd stuff starts happening. It's absolutely superb. Definitely 100% recommend it. Then we have Bird Box and Mallory by Josh Malerman. So this superb. Bird Box has been made into a Netflix film. Would definitely recommend it. It's basically following a woman and 2 children, and it's their journey to try and get to like a safe haven. So they're living in a world, like a post-apocalyptic world, where you have to be blindfolded. You cannot see what's outside, or I can't remember if it was like you get killed in a horrendous way, or you start killing someone in a horrendous way, or you commit suicide in a horrendous way. Basically, you end up dead. But the scary thing about this is because even as a reader, we don't know what it is that's outside. We have no description of it whatsoever. It's just, it could be absolutely anything. We never get told as a reader. And I feel like that's what makes it so terrifying. Then we have Dark Matter, a Ghost Story by Michelle Paver. This is set in a very isolated Arctic expedition in 1937. And you've got 3 people out there doing like experiments in the Arctic, obviously very isolated. One of them gets injured, so another one takes that one to the mainland, so it leaves just one person, Jack, on this isolated area. And we kind of realise that he is not alone, maybe not alone. And there's something quite sinister and weird outside the cabin that he's like living in. It's creepy. Yeah, very creepy. Then we've got cultish type books. So we've got The Faraway People and Rosemary's Baby. This is obviously a classic. I kind of feel like everyone knows about this book. Absolutely superb. But obviously following Rosemary and Guy, they move into the Branford, which is an old New York City apartment building. And they end up falling pregnant. But Rosemary starts realising that the neighbours are having like this weird, like, they're kind of very weirdly, what's the word, obsessed with the baby. And she starts figuring out that something's not quite right, and it's quite cultish like. And then this one is set in like a Cornish village, and is Hattie and Richard, their family, they go on a staycation to this Cornish village. And there's just some, there's some odd creatures, strange creatures that they see in the woods. There's a ghost of the mysterious red man that's appearing in the attic. We've got like then an agent, like an undercover agent, gets involved and uncovers links with a criminal organisation. Basically, a bit of like a detective story, a bit of a cult story, a bit of a horror, a bit of a, whatever you could think of, which would be absolutely terrifying in a book. This book has it. This is by Stacey Dighton, by the way, who I kind of feel like is not a massive well-known author, but I kind of feel like he should be, because this book was absolutely terrifying. Absolutely, there was points of this book which was absolutely terrifying, and there is like a cult-like element to it as well. So I would definitely recommend picking this up if you haven't heard of it. I kind of feel like this is one of the books on this list that people probably wouldn't have heard of, but it's absolutely superb. It definitely is. And we've got another classic here, Dracula by Bram Stoker, which I kind of feel like you need to read in October if you haven't done so already. Again, the writing is stunning and beautiful, and descriptions are beautiful, and I kind of feel like Bram Stoker has done an amazing job. Again, this is another book that when I first tried to read it, I DNF'd, and I went back to it when I kind of felt like my reading taste had changed, and absolutely loved it. So yeah, definitely recommend that one. And then lastly, probably the book that most scared me out of all of these books was this. This here is terrifying. This is set in an isolated village in the Icelandic Westfjords. Okay, so we've got 3 friends who are basically restoring this derelict house. They want to turn it into a B&B. But everyone else that lives on this island have left because it's winter, in the midst of winter, when it's absolutely freezing. Nobody wants to live there during this winter period. So they're all on their own. At the same time, across the ford, there's a young doctor who basically gets told, this old lady has committed suicide, please come along. And he's like, well, I don't deal with that sort of thing, but okay. And they're like, no, you need to come and see this. When he gets there, he realizes that the old lady had a massive interest in the disappearance of his own son, who had disappeared years and years prior, and was actually obsessed. And he starts finding all this stuff about his son in this old lady's house. And he's like, what the hell? So he follows the clues, and it kind of takes him to this isolated area where these 3 friends are doing up this derelict building. And so it all gets linked together, basically. So it all links together, and it's absolutely terrifying. Absolutely. There was moments in this book where I was absolutely terrified. And I don't know whether it was because I was reading this when I was camping. Was it last year? Yeah, last year I was reading this whilst we were camping. And oh my gosh, I was absolutely terrified. At one point I had to go when it was night, at dark, to go to the toilet block. And it was absolutely terrifying because I kept thinking that what you see in this book was on the campsite. It was terrifying. So yeah, definitely one of the most scariest books on this list. But there we have it. That is a massive book recommendation list of all the books that I would definitely recommend reading in September, October time. I've absolutely loved myself. But yeah, I just wanted to finish this cozy vlog. So it started off with a vlog being, getting all the autumn stuff together, doing some shopping, getting some autumn gifts, decor, some candles, all of the stuff that we love, us autumn girlies love. And then I just wanted to finish it off with some book recommendations for both September and October. So these are my recommendations. So thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I know this last bit was very long with the recommendations, but obviously it started off with the cozy, getting ready for autumn. And hopefully you find some books in this list that you would want to put onto your TBR, because there are some fantastic books. I do think September and October is the best time for reading, and you can find so many amazing books to read during this time. So I'm really excited. I'm really excited for the books that I'm choosing to read as well in the next couple of months. So yeah, I'm gonna have to leave it here now though, because my sister's on her way to come pick me up and we're going out. So thank you so much for watching, and I really do hope that you enjoyed this video. I will be back soon with another one. Bye for now.